Hi, thanks for joining me as I demonstrate the Lisa Richardson Crochet Along 2017, the Felted Tweed Blanket Project. Make sure you read the pattern right through. Read it once, maybe read it again. I've done a couple of motifs, and for this demonstration I have decided to do a two-shade motif because there's a little trick in how to ensure a smooth color change between the rounds. So I think that would be a great thing to show you. For this demonstration I'm going to do motif 5, which uses F Watery and E Rage, two great colors. Using the first color, chain 8 and join with a slip stitch to form a ring. Round 1, using the first color, chain 3. The next instruction is in brackets. Yarn over and insert hook through ring. Yarn over, drawing it back through, yarn over through those two loops on your crochet hook. Do this 3 times. Yarn over, through, yarn over, pull it back, yarn over through those 2 loops. And the 3rd time, yarn over, through, pull it back, yarn over, through. Yarn over and draw through all 4 loops on your hook. This counts as your first bobble. Chain 5. Bobble into ring. Chain 2. The next instruction is in brackets. Bobble into ring, chain 5, bobble into ring, chain 2. Do this 3 times. Now to get that all on this little circle ring, I like to what I call smoosh my stitches up, so you can tighten them right up and gives you more space on the ring. So I'm going to carry on to do that repeat, and I'll meet you at the end when you are slip stitching to the top of the bobble at the beginning of the round. So here I am about to do my last bobble. Chain 2 and slip stitch to the top of your first bobble, which is right in here. And you'll see what you've got is 4 corners with 5 chains, and each side has a section with 2 chains. So at the end of the round, you can fasten this off, clipping it here and pulling it through and finishing your ends. Or you can join the new color in by taking this out . And when you're at this stage, when you're going to join to the top of the first bobble on the round, bring your new color in and use your new color to do this, the slip stitch. And that gives you a nice clean join for your new color for the next round. At this point, I would actually finish off the yarn ends for the first round, trying to keep things tidy and the tails out of the way. Here we go, round 2. I've finished my ends from the first round and joined in, as you can see, the rage. So round 2, chain 5. This counts as 1 treble and 2 chains. Brackets, bobble, 2 chains and bobble into the next 5 chain space. So bobble, two chains, and bobble into this 5 chain space. Two chains, then 3 trebles into the next 2 chain space. Two chain. Read the instructions here carefully. It says to repeat from asterisk 3 times more, but ending the last repeat, so the third repeat, at the double asterisk. So here's where we are on round 2. Remember, we started with 5 chain, which counts as 1 treble and 2 chains. Then we did a bobble, 2 chain bobble into the 5 chain space. always separating by 2 chains, 3 trebles into the 2 chain space, 2 chains, bobble, 2 chains, bobble into the 5 chain space, and we carried on like that right to the end. The last 5 chain space was bobble, 2 chain, bobble, 2 chain. So the last maneuver is 2 trebles into the next 2 chain space and slip stitching to the 3rd chain of the 5 at the beginning of the round. So this becomes the 3rd treble in this 2 chain space. So 1 treble, 2 treble, and slipping into the 3rd chain, slip stitch this together. So this is where we would now bring back in our first color. So I'm going to snip off the rage, and here we go with the watery. Slip, slip, and there we are, set for round 3. Round 3, using first color, 3 chains counts as 1 treble. Two trebles into next 2 chain space. Two chain, asterisk, bobble, 2 chain, bobble into next 2 chain space. Bobble, 2 chain, bobble into the next 2 chain space. 2 chain, two trebles into the next 2 chain space. One treble into next 3 trebles. It's important to get the first treble right here in the top of the first treble in the 3 treble group below. It's easy to miss that first treble and jump straight into the second one, so just watch for that. Two trebles into the next 2 chain space. And repeat from asterisk 3 times more, ending last repeat at the double asterisk. And I'll meet you back there at that point. I've done my 3 repeats, which ends with 2 trebles into the next 2 chain space. So the final instruction is 1 treble into each of the next 2 trebles, slip stitching to the top of the 3rd chain at the beginning of the round. This is why it's important to get right into that first treble. If you don't get into that first treble, you won't have enough space at the end of the round. So treble, 2 trebles, and then we're going to slip stitch to the 3rd chain at the beginning of the round, right in there. So if you've read your pattern, you'll know that rounds 4, 5, and 6 are exactly the same as round 3. The only difference being the number of trebles you do on these side pieces. So while on round 3 you did 2 trebles into the chain space, 3 trebles, another 2 trebles into the chain space, and that is on either side of that there is a chain space. On round 4 you do 2 chain and then into the chain space 2, 7 more across, 2 into the chain space and another chain space. So each row grows by 4. So 7, 11, 15, and then the last round is 19 trebles along the side. And you'll read that in the description of the basic motif at the end of the instructions. So I'm just going to carry on switching out colors each round, doing my last slip stitch in the next round's color, and I'll put a few pictures here and I'll meet you at the very end. Make sure you check your rounds before you finish off, because after you've finished those ends, it's tough to get them back out without destroying the yarn and having to start over completely. Just ask me how I know. And there we go, that's the end of round 5. And we are now ready to do the last round, round 6. Just a couple of yarn ends to tidy up, and that is square number 5 of release 1 done.